Hey guys, it's Troy coming at you from East London. Now, today I'm going to answer another question that I got from a user on Instagram. And by the way, if you've got questions that you want me to get into, then probably the best way of doing it right now is to go over to Instagram, follow me if you're not already. It's at Real Troy Francis, same as this YouTube channel. Follow me there, and I'm posting regular Q&As up on Instagram and answering the best ones in the stories, and I'm saving it down as a highlight as well, so you can have a look back over some old answers. But it's really helpful, a bit interactive. You know, if you've got a particular issue that's on your mind, let me know and we'll get into it. And yeah, so anyway, I want to answer this one now, which I did answer before in text on Instagram, but I'm going to do a little video on it. How do you choose between a loyal girl and gaming at the bars? How do you choose between a loyal girl and gaming at the bars? And he put a couple of laughing emojis afterwards, so I think he was being slightly tongue-in-cheek, but I mean, it is a question that has plagued many guys over the years. How do you decide? Well, I suppose the first thing is, do you have a loyal girl at the ready that you can supplant gaming at the bars with? I guess that's one question. I mean, and you know, I'm being a little bit humorous here, but I mean, it's kind of, availability is one thing. You know, what are your options, right? If you have someone in mind that maybe you're seeing, or you guys are in a kind of casual thing at the moment, but you think she's really great, and you're kind of trying to weigh up, okay, so do I make it more solid with her, or do I just, you know, say to hell with all of that and carry on, you know, in my party playboy years? Then that's a real decision that you have to make. And I mean, obviously, it goes without saying, I can't tell you what you should do, and nor can anyone else, and only you will ultimately be able to decide. And it really depends then on, I guess, how old you are to some extent, but also what your life plan is. I mean, if your life plan is essentially, look, I'm happy to have a bit of fun and you know, meet some women and, you know, have a good time, but ultimately, you know, I want to find a partner and I want to settle down, I want to have kids and all of that good stuff, then you've got to be continuously keeping that front of mind, right? And if you meet somebody who actually you think is ticking the boxes for that, then it would be foolish, some would argue, to let her go just because, oh, well, you know, I can go down the club and have a bit of fun, right? On the other hand, it also somewhat depends on how old you are, because if you are, I would say, anything in your 20s, really, you know, if you're like 21 and you're asking this question and you've met this cool girl, is that really the time to throw in your chips and settle down? I would say no. I've heard it said in the men's, you know, dating information space many times, you know, you want to be really at least 30. I would say even 35 before you seriously consider settling down, for a couple of reasons. Firstly, because you want to kind of get it out your system a little bit. And the other thing is, I suppose then that plays into it as well, is your level of experience. Because if you've had a lot of experience and you've dated various different women and you kind of know the terrain a bit, then that's one thing. But if it's like your first girlfriend and you just think, oh my God, she's amazing, and I'm going to stop going to the bars and I'm going to just settle with her, that could be a foolhardy move, because with all the greatest respect, you don't really know what you're doing yet. I mean, it took me a long time really to understand fully the way these things work, you know, female nature, whatever, female psychology, but my own psychology as well, okay? And just the way that society works and the way that relationships work and everything else. It took me a really long time and probably, you know, some experience before I got to a point where I was confident enough to say that I understood it. And even now, right, I mean, things can blindside us, right? We're always learning, and you're dealing as well with human beings who are infinitely mutable and therefore changeable, right? And therefore, you know, what one person does is not necessarily what another person's going to do, what another person's going to do. The dynamic between you and one girl is going to be different to the dynamic between you and another girl, and so on. So it's really this infinitely complex thing. And you have to navigate it as best you can as you go on. But the more experience you have, the better you're going to be able to do that. Probably the better able you're going to be to have boundaries, which are really important in a relationship, and to lay down those boundaries and to adhere to those boundaries, okay? Certain things that you will tolerate. I mean, there were things back in the day, in my 20s, that I allowed to slip through the net in relationships that I would never tolerate now in a million years. Okay, and that's not me being, you know, a toxic male or whatever. It's just the reality. You know, it's just like, look, I just don't want that energy in my life. But when I was younger, and also I was suffering from what you might call, you know, scarcity, right? I wasn't confident in myself in being able to meet new people, meet new potential girlfriends or whatever. So that's another factor to it, because then you think, well, I better stick with this one particular person, even though it may be imperfect, and you might even be able to see the red flags, because how do I know if I'll ever be able to meet anyone else? And as you get more experience and you get more confident, you get more adept at this stuff, then that becomes less of a concern, which is why we always counsel guys to learn about social dynamics, to learn about psychology and the way that people, men and women, but also people in general, interrelate, because it's super, super key, right? You know, you don't want to be a mark for somebody, and it's not necessarily that person has bad intent, but it's just that some people are not very good for us, right? Some people have a different agenda, right? And we don't have to adhere to somebody else's agenda if it doesn't suit us, but you need to be able to have those boundaries, and you need to be able to walk away. So loyal girl or gaming in the bars, well, on the surface level, it's a question about, okay, so should I pursue a relationship? Should I pursue, I guess, monogamy, right? Is probably what he's talking about. Or should I, you know, have a decadent, hedonistic bachelor lifestyle? And it's not a simple choice. And in the end, it comes down to things like, okay, so what stage of life are you at? What is it that you actually want out of life? I.e., kids, family, long-term relationship, or, you know, you want to travel, you want to have fun. You know, what do you actually really want? If you strip away society and your parents and your best friend and, you know, your brothers and sisters and what they all think, what do you actually want? You've got to find that out for yourself, figure that out for yourself, okay? And then sort of go towards that. And recognize as well that there are challenges with both choices, okay? It's not as if one choice is ever going to be this nirvana, this kind of heaven, okay? I mean, both of them have their benefits for sure, right? I mean, there's a lot to be said for experiencing a life of, you know, being single and being able to do your own thing and meeting different people and enjoying that. There's also huge benefits to be found in a relationship as well. Relationships are incredibly rich. The way that we interact with other human beings really is the fabric of our lives. What else is there, really, other than the way we relate to another human being, okay, in this brief sojourn that we are enjoying or not on this planet, right? That is kind of the stuff of life, isn't it? So that is something that it can be incredibly enriching and valuable, and it can define a life, okay? Very important. But, you know, on the other hand, it really depends on your plans and where you want to be and where she wants to be and everything else. And as I say, there's going to be challenges with both, because relationships bring their own challenges. They're not necessarily always easy. Ideally, you're going to be with somebody who complements you and who adds something to your life rather than just subtracts from your life. Okay, that should be a bare minimum, really, but that's what you're looking for. You know, somebody who's supportive and who, for the most part, you know, you have an amazing time with, and they just bring something that wouldn't be there if you weren't with them. Okay. But, you know, there's going to be conflict, there's going to be differences of opinion, there's going to be times when she does something that pisses you off, or you do something that pisses her off, or, you know, whatever, right? It's just human nature, okay? So there's that. And then on the other side, going around and, you know, dating around and being casual and everything, that can be great. You know, there's a lot of novelty there can be fun, it can be enjoyable, exciting, whatever. But that too is not without its problems, okay? You're dealing with, you know, different personality types, okay? There's a lot of potential for hurt and even loneliness, particularly loneliness in that kind of lifestyle, because as much as we all would like to play, you know, the big alpha online or whatever, or in the comment section, the reality is that most of us, nearly all of us, are searching for some kind of affection, you know, some kind of, and the problem with the single lifestyle is that while it can be fun and it can be carefree and all the rest of it, you don't necessarily have much stability. You know, you can't guarantee, like you can't with relationships either necessarily, but you know, you have there's no sort of foundation there for stability, really. You're kind of out on your own and being buffeted around by the winds of chance, and that might be your thing for a period of time, or even all of your life. but equally it might not. You know, there are certainly dark nights of the soul to go through with that. And as I said, on the other side of it, you've got relationships and then even marriage, and they too can bring problems with them. So in the end, I'm afraid to say, it really is about personal choice. And like I say, the stage of life that you're at, the only thing I would counsel is, if you are very young and you're watching this and you don't have much experience, I would think twice about really throwing all your chips in with one person, because you might just not really have the life experience to properly understand what you're getting into at that point, okay? Equally, you know, if you're a bit of a jaded old bachelor like me and you meet somebody who's great and you sort of think, well, you know, I really, really like her, I love her, I want this to be a thing, then go for that, okay? You don't have to do things just because people on the internet say one way or the other is better, because they don't know either, right? We're all just making this up. It is personal choice, and it is challenging on both sides, and your desire with this stuff is probably going to fluctuate as you go through your life. There's going to be different periods where you want one thing and different periods when you want the other thing. And often the grass looks greener, whichever side of the fence you're on. And, you know, we always tend to yearn for the thing that we don't have rather than the thing we actually do have. So it's also about learning gratitude and being present in the moment and just actually being grateful for what you've actually got right now, okay? And recognize, even if you're in a place where you're not that happy, or you kind of wish you had something else, you wish you had a girlfriend, right? Okay, for example, just understand that now is a time for learning, right? This is a great opportunity for you to go through life single and learn things and have some abundance that maybe you never had before, okay? So learn to cherish whatever's happening is the right thing, okay? And, or at least, even if it isn't, it's better to believe that than not, okay? So look at everything either as an opportunity to grow or an opportunity to learn, okay? So you're either going to grow through this thing, you're going to learn through this thing, or maybe both. So it's either going to be good, so you're either going to get what you wanted, or you're going to get to learn and grow, okay? That's how I would try to look at it. Again, in the end, I'm afraid you're kind of on your own with this stuff, because you do have to make up your own mind, but often the path will become clear, okay? Because in order to meet that loyal girl, right, if she's sitting there in front of you and you're thinking, God, I'm an idiot, why do I keep going to the club when actually there's this amazing girl here? And really, to be honest, what I quite like doing is just spending time with her, and I don't really want to do all of this, you know, going to the bars with my friends anymore. Then maybe there's something in that. Maybe you need to listen to that. But on the other hand, you know, if you're doing it from a place of scarcity and because you're worried secretly that you'll never meet anybody else, that's not a good frame either. So, you know, the only thing you can do really, if you need sort of help on this or counselling, I mean, I do coaching calls on exactly this stuff, so you can email me, troy@realtroyfrancis.com, put your WhatsApp details in there, we can have a chat about it and about the potential options that you've got. Also, do subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Give me a like. Let me know what you think in the description box below on this topic, and if you've got any other questions. And do follow me on Instagram @realtroyfrancis. Regular Q&As. You can ask your question, and I will do my very, very best to answer it. See you later. Bye-bye.